Listen, if you have ever dreamed of commanding a stage, finding a highly profitable speaking niche, or honestly just leaving a meaningful legacy for your family, you're going to want to pay close attention to this. Today, we're taking a brilliant book review by John Pearson and turning it into a complete masterclass for aspiring speakers and storytellers. We're basing this whole explainer on the wildly impressive real-world journey of Bill Butterworth. He's a top-rated speaker, an author, and a ghostwriter who pulled off something absolutely monumental, completing 50 speaking gigs in all 50 states. There's just so much incredibly practical wisdom packed into his life on the road, and we're going to extract the very best lessons for you right now. Here's the game plan for today's explainer. First, we'll cover the ultimate speaking masterclass. Then, a quick true or false quiz to test your speaker instincts. After that, we'll talk about what it really takes to survive life on the road. And finally, we'll break down the postcard storytelling method. Let's dive in. All right, part 1, the ultimate speaking masterclass, what it takes to book and actually survive engagements across the entire country. So checking off a gig in all 50 states plus Washington, D.C. isn't just a fun travel challenge. It demands unparalleled adaptability. Think about it. Your core message might stay exactly the same, but you have to completely shapeshift your delivery for wildly different audiences every single time you grab that microphone. We're talking about jumping from a polished corporate keynote for giants like Microsoft or Walt Disney straight into a banquet room full of Mississippi veterinarians who have their own super specific inside jokes. Or try this for the ultimate empathy test. Motivating a professional football team that's sitting at 0 wins and 11 losses. You absolutely cannot give a standard corporate pep talk to a defeated locker room. You have to read the room's energy and pivot on a dime. And that kind of situational awareness, well, it leads us right into our next segment. Section 2, True or False Speaker Edition. Let's put your own instincts to the test with some real and honestly pretty hilarious mishaps from Butterworth's nationwide tour. Okay, question 1. Picture this. You've just landed in a brand new city, you are completely exhausted, and you need a good meal before a high-stakes presentation. True or false? You should always trust your own culinary instincts when you're traveling to a new state. Basically, do you know how to read the regional menu? The answer is a hard false. Butterworth had this massive light bulb moment about regional awareness, and he learned it the hard way. He ordered beef in Boston, a historic, world-class seafood town, and then, as if that wasn't bad enough, on a different trip, he confidently ordered swordfish in Omaha, Nebraska, the absolute heart of cattle country. It's a funny rookie mistake, sure, but the underlying lesson is huge. As a pro speaker, your situational awareness has to start way before you hit the stage. If you can't read the local culture well enough to order lunch, how are you going to read their unique sensibilities from the platform? Ready for question 2? This one tests how you handle a total environmental meltdown, the exact kind of nightmare that keeps speakers up at night. True or false? A pitch-black room will absolutely ruin a daytime presentation. If the lights go out completely, do you just pack up and offer refunds? Nope, false again. A true masterclass speaker just soldiers on no matter what happens. Butterworth was out in New Mexico for a Saturday seminar scheduled to teach the entire Old Testament to a captive audience in a single day. Suddenly, the power dies. The sanctuary goes completely pitch black dark. Most people would just freeze. But he didn't cancel. He pushed right past the panic and taught all day long in the absolute dark. Talk about preparation. You have to know your stuff so deeply that you don't need your notes, your slides, or even the faces of your audience to deliver a masterful performance. Let's move to question 3 and talk business strategy, because finding your niche is literally life or death in this industry. True or false? Mandatory continuing education is a boring, unprofitable niche. Is it just a dead-end crowd trying to check a compliance box? Absolutely false. Actually, Butterworth found that continuing education are some of the most lucrative words a speaker can hear. He tapped into a recurring goldmine speaking to local, state, and national CPA groups. These folks are legally required to be there, which means there is a massive, unending demand for someone who can make that mandatory time actually fun. 8 hours. That is how long one single firm in Rhode Island asked him to stretch a standard 75-minute talk on balancing work and life. And he did it. Finding a hungry niche that needs your content for their professional requirements, that's the secret to a long, profitable career. And if you're wondering if a niche limits you, it really doesn't. Once you dial in a resonant message, your appeal can be huge. Butterworth wasn't just talking to CPAs, vets, and Ford executives. He actually secured Sunday chapel gigs for a ton of pro sports teams. We're talking 29 out of the 32 NFL teams and 14 Major League Baseball teams. The takeaway? If your core message hits on universal human truths, it can absolutely transcend completely different industries. Let's pivot to Section 3.
surviving the road. This is the reality of living out of a suitcase. Imagine this day for a second. August 18th, 1984. Butterworth pulled off a massive doubleheader. He kicked off the morning in Los Angeles, speaking at the Miami Dolphins chapel service right before a big Raiders game. Then, fighting that post-speech adrenaline crash, he drove completely across town to speak to the visiting Philadelphia Phillies before their evening game against the Dodgers. The NFL and MLB on the exact same day? It sounds amazing, but man, that kind of relentless pace takes a brutal physical and mental toll. Which brings us to a pretty deep irony. Here he was, flying across the country, preaching to thousands of strangers about balancing work and life, while his own family was left sitting at home. It's a trap so many road warriors fall into. You get so caught up delivering the message that you completely forget to apply it to yourself.
He just wasn't walking his talk. In a really transparent moment, he shares what he calls the Arizona Cadillac story. A close friend actually staged an intervention and literally FedExed him a round-trip plane ticket to Phoenix to give him a massive wake-up call. It forced him to look in the mirror. Accountability is everything. You can't just speak the truth on stage, you have to live it in your own living room. Because at some point, you have to find rest. Out of all 50 states, he purposefully chose the quiet coastal town of Cannon Beach, Oregon, for the final chapter of his journey. It's a beautiful reminder that we all need a place to recharge and process the journey after enduring the chaos of the road. Finally, Section 4, the postcard storytelling method. Let's talk about documenting your life. So how in the world do you condense a lifetime of crazy travel, embarrassing blunders, and massive wins into something your family will actually read? Butterworth used the genius of constraints, 51. He boiled his entire career down to 51 short, funny life lessons, one for each state plus DC. And the craziest part? He originally just wrote these to help his grandson Hudson with a 5th grade geography project by mailing him 50 actual postcards. That one simple act accidentally created an incredible memoir format that any of us can use. This breaks down into such a brilliant, replicable template that completely cures writer's block. Step 1. Address it directly to a loved one. Every chapter starts with Dear Hudson, which instantly makes the tone super warm and natural. Step 2. Anchor the memory to a specific place or event so it sparks your own recall easily. And Step 3. Wrap it up with one single clear life lesson addressed right to them. But why even bother doing this? Well, sharing your story is hands down one of the greatest gifts you can ever leave behind. It gives your family a real, honest roadmap for their own lives. Plus, limiting yourself to a postcard format takes away the massive intimidation of writing a 300-page autobiography. It makes the whole thing bite-sized. The biggest takeaway here? Don't wait for the perfect time. Just get it on paper. Because honestly, if you don't write it, somebody else will try to. Wall Street Journal obituary writer James R. Haggerty has this perfect quote. Don't leave it to family members who are almost certain to make a hash of it. If you don't take control of your own narrative, your amazing history will probably get completely lost in translation. So, I'm going to leave you with a final challenge to wrap up this explainer. Are you going to take the time to write your own story using something simple like this postcard method? How will you package up your hard-won life lessons before the chance passes you by? Don't leave it to someone else to make a hash of it. Grab a pen, think of a loved one, and write your very first postcard today.